Let's finish Perek Lamed Aleph in Sefer Tanya on page Resh Mem Zayin, on the top of the page. V'lihyot bechinat teshuva zo b'yeter se'et v'yeter az me'umka deliba, and to make sure that this teshuvah, this bechina of teshuvah, will be strengthened from the depths of the heart. V'gam simchat ha-nefesh tihyeh betosefet ora v'simcha, and it will bring upon the person an extra light and simcha. Ka'asher yashiv elibo da'at u'tvuna, when the person thinks to himself the following wise words: lenachamo mitzvono v'igono lemor, to console himself from the sadness of realizing his avonot. Lemor kanal, to say, like was said before, hen emet, achani lo asiti et atzmi, I didn't create myself. Lama asa Hashem kazot, lehorit chelek me'oro yitbarach, hamemale vesovev kol almin, vekola kame kela hashiv. Why is it that HaKadosh Baruch Hu bothered to bring down a part of His own light, His light that surrounds the worlds, that fills the worlds, and that everything before that light is insignificant? He took a part of that light, v'hilbisho b'mashcha dechavya v'tipa serucha, and he put it into this body over here. That's the skin of the nachash, v'tipa serucha. Why would Hashem do that? Why would He bring down a part of His light to be in a body that is so materialistic? En ze ki im yerida zo hitzorech aliyah. If I'm not mistaken, I think that was mentioned before. Ki im yerida zo hitzorech aliyah. This yerida, this coming down to the world, is for the purpose of bringing it up. Leha'alot lashem kol nefesh achiyunit habahamit shemiklipat noga, to bring back up to Hashem the nefesh achiyunit habahamit, that animal soul that we have, that is from klipat noga, to bring it back up, to lift it up to Hashem. V'chol levushea hen bechinat machashava dibur u'maaseh shela. It and all its levushim, the machashava, the dibur, and the maaseh. We have machashavot, bring them up to Hashem, lift them up. We have diburim, lift them up. Maasim, al yedei tlabshutan b'maaseh dibur u'machshevet haTorah, through conferring upon them the thoughts of the Torah, the words of Torah, and the maaseh of Torah. כמו שהתבאר לקמן עניין העלה הזו באריכות, איך שהיא תכלית בריאת העולם, as we're going to study more later on. ואם כן איפה זאת תעשה? And therefore, I shall get ready now to do that. That's my task. וזאת תהיה כל מגמתי כל ימי חלדי, לכל בהן חיי רוחי ונפשי. This will be my aspiration all the days of my life, to lift up that nefesh habahamit that's in galut, in my goof, and to bring it out of galut, and to have rachmanut on it, and to bring it up back to Hashem. Kemo shekatuv, elecha Hashem nafshi esa. That's the opening pasuk we say every day by Tachanun, right? Le David, elecha Hashem nafshi esa, which literally the simple meaning is, to you Hashem I raise my soul, I look to you, I hope to you. But the Tanya is explaining here, Elecha Hashem nafshi esa, my nefesh habami, to you Hashem I lift it. I want to elevate it to you. Dahainu lekasher mahashavti v'diburi b'mahashavto v'diburo yitbarach, to attach my thoughts and my words to the thoughts and words of Hashem. Which words and thoughts of Hashem? Vehenhen gufei ha'halachot ha'aruchot lefanenu. Those are the halachot that we have. Baruch Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us halachot. We have the Torah, we have the Mishnayot, we have the Gemara, and ultimately in the Shulchan Aruch. Each halacha in Shulchan Aruch is what? Is for what purpose? Is for us to be mekasher our machshavot and our dibur with the machshavot and dibur of the Torah. Each halacha is an opportunity for ha'ala'ah, for bringing up, for elecha Hashem, nafshi esa. V'chen ma'aseh, b'ma'aseh ha-mitzvot, and of course through the actions of the mitzvot, shelachen nikreta Torah meshivat nafesh. That's why the Torah is called meshivat nafesh. Again, the simple meaning of meshivat nafesh is, it brings back life to us. It's a meshiv nefesh. Like it says in Megillat Ruth, v'hayalach le-meshiv nefesh. But the Baal Tanya is taking it quite literally. Meshivat nafesh. Through the Torah we are meshiv, we are returning our nefesh to Hashem. Our nefesh habamit that's in galut, in the klipat noga, we're bringing it up through the halachot, through the maaseh mitzvot, through the diburei Torah. We're bringing back up to Hashem. Pirush meaning limkorah v'shorsha, back to its source, back to its roots. Al ze ne'emar pikudei Hashem yesharim mesamechei lev. That's why the pikudei Hashem, the mitzvot of Hashem, are yesharim, are straightforward. Mesamechei lev. They give us simcha. Why do they give us simcha? Because we realize that with the Torah, with the Pikudei Hashem, we are able to be meshiv nefesh, we are able to bring back our nefesh closer and closer to Hashem. Perek Lamed Bet. V'hine al yedei kiyum hadevarim hanal, lihyot gufo nivze v'nim'as be'enav, rak simchato tiyeh simchat hanefesh levada. Now, built upon the previous 2-3 prakim that we learned, where a person speaks to himself words of musar, and he realizes that he's in a guf achur, that he's in a materialistic body that desires to do sin, and his neshama is mamash in a state of galut. Now, when he thinks about that, and his only source of simcha is simchat hanefesh, he gets consolation by the fact that Hashem gave him the task of bringing up the nefesh haba'amit out of Mitzrayim, out of the galut. Rabotai, we have just begun one of the most classic prakim in Sefer Tanya, known as Perek Lamed Bet, live, the heart, to be mikayem the mitzvah, ve'afta l'reacha kamocha, quite a popular perek. This is the way to come to the kiyum of mitzvat ve'afta l'reacha kamocha lechol nefesh miYisrael migadol ve'ad katan. To love each and every Jew, no matter who, no matter how great, no matter how small, no matter how simple we may think he is, no matter how far we may think he is, ve'afta l'reacha kamocha is based on what we learned in the past 2 prakim. When a person begins to understand that less emphasis should be put on guf and more emphasis should be put on nefesh. When a person focuses on the nefesh, then he will realize that it's possible to come to a level of ve'afta l'reacha kamocha, of loving every Jew. Because mitzad nefesh, mitzad makor, everyone is the same. On the outside, this person has a little bit more tendencies to follow the guf. That person has a little bit less. This one a little bit more. But mitzad the meshivat nafesh, mitzad the nefesh of the Jew, everyone is the same. Because being that he has now downplayed physicality, he doesn't give it much importance. והנפש והרוח מי יודע גדולתן ומעלתן בשורשן ומקורן באלוקים חיים. When it comes to the nefesh and ruach, who knows the extent of the greatness of the nefesh, of the ruach, how far, in its shoresh, in its root, in its source, belokim chaim, from where it came from. B'shegam shekulam matimot, especially when we know that we're all the same. All the Jews have a nishamad elakit that comes from Hashem. All Jews, no matter what. Mishekulam matimot ve'av echad lekulana. We come from one. We come from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'lachen nikreu kol Yisrael ahim mamash. Therefore, we are quite literally brothers. All Am Yisrael are brothers. Mitzat shoresh nafsham b'Shem echad. Because we all come from the same source, from the same root of an neshama, which is Hashem echad. Rak she'agufim mechulakim. The bodies are what divides. But when a person puts less dagesh, less emphasis on the body, and he begins to think neshama, he begins to think nefesh thoughts, then he's able to see another Jew from the perspective of nefesh, not from the perspective of the guf. The guf is very misleading on the outside, but from the side of the nefesh, he's able to come and to love that Jew no matter what. Therefore, those who put all the emphasis on their guf, on their body, and their nefesh is secondary. There's a big line here. It says it's impossible for there to be love and true achdut among people who place the importance, mainly their priority is physical, is materialism. It's impossible for real achdut and real ahava. Ela hatluya b'davar levada. What type of ahava can they have between them? Conditional love. If I get something from him, so I'll love him. If he gives me, if he does. But unconditional. But ahava she'ena tluya b'davar. It's impossible by people who are osim gufam ikar v'nafsham tefela. וזהו שאמר הלל הזקן על קיום מצווה זו. That's why Hillel HaZaken in the Gemara Shabbat Lamed Aleph said regarding the mitzvah of ואהבת לרעך כמוך, זהו כל התורה כולה, ואידך פירושה. It's the entire Torah. The rest is just commentary. Why? What do you mean? And we're going to read the mitzvah ואהבת לרעך כמוך in this week's parasha, in Parashat Kedoshim. That's where it says ואהבת לרעך כמוך. Hillel comes and says זוהי כל התורה כולה. It's the whole Torah. Remember, he told the girl, stand up on one foot, I'll tell you the whole Torah. ואהבת לרעך, מאן דאלכסני, ואהבת לרעך כמוך. Right? ואידך פירושה. So says the Baal Tanya, זכותו תגן עלינו. כי יסוד ושורש כל התורה הוא להגביה ולהעלות הנפש על הגוף, מעלה, מעלה, עד עיקרה ושורשה דכל עלמין. Because what is the yesod? What is the foundation of the entire Torah? The foundation of the entire Torah is to uplift and to elevate the nefesh above the guf. Above and above, all the way until its source. And then after that, וגם להמשיך אור אינסוף ברוך הוא בכנסת ישראל. And then to bring down אור אינסוף ברוך הוא, the light of הקדוש ברוך הוא, down to the neshamot of כנסת ישראל. כמו שהתבהר לקמן. דהיינו, במקור נשמות כל ישראל, למהווה אחד באחד דווקא. We bring up the nefesh, we elevate through doing Torah, through doing mitzvot, and thereby bring down the light of Hashem, the Shefa Chasadim from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to illuminate into the neshamot of Am Yisrael, so that they will be attached with Echad be'echad dafka, the Baal Tanya is saying. Echad be'echad. Be'echad means Yechido Shel Olam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but Echad, we as one to be attached to the one and only. But Dafka, it's only if we are one. Velo ksheyesh pirut chas v'shalom b'neshamot. If chas v'shalom there is division, divisiveness between the neshamot, then it's impossible for the Or Ein Sof to come to be me'ir, to give light in the neshamot of Knesset Yisrael. The Kuchabrichu Lasharia be'atar pagim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not rest in a place that is defected, or pagim here he means separated. Ukemo she'omrim, like we say in Sim Shalom, Barechenu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad Be'or Panecha. Hashem, bless us with the light of your face, but we say, bless all of us ke'echad, as one. Only if we are as one are we able to bring down Or Panecha, the Or Ein Sof Baruch Hu, כמו שהתבאר במקום אחר באריכות. ומה שאמרו בגמרא, שמי שרואה בחברו שחטא מצווה לשנותו, וגם לומר לרבו שישנאהו. We do find in the Gemara in Psachim Kuf Yud Gimel that one who sees in his fellow man that he sins, that mitzvah lisnoto, it says in the Gemara, you're allowed to show contempt. I don't want to use the word hate him, but to show contempt to the one who sins. So you know what he says? Listen to the Pirush Rabotai of the Baal Tanya. Hainu bechavero betorah u'mitzvot. You know who's that talking about? It means your fellow observant Jew. You're allowed to show sin'ah, contempt, if he's sinning. But number one, he is chavero b'Torah mitzvot. That means he's also observant. Ushomer Torah mitzvot. Number two, ukvar kiyem bo mitzvah tocheach tochiach et amitecha. Only after you already did the mitzvah of rebuking him, and still he didn't change. Mitzvah lisnoto. Now, ocheach tochiach et amitecha. Ma ze amitecha? The Gemara learns, im she'itecha b'Torah u'b'mitzvot. The one who is with you in Torah mitzvot, which means an observant Jew. Im she'itcha means that he keeps the Torah mitzvot like you. And you were mochiach him, and you told him, Adoni, you know what you're doing is a chet. You're not allowed. And he kept on doing it even after the tochecha. That's when the Gemara says, mitzvah lisnoto. Ve'afal pichen oshab becheto, even since he did not, he didn't change even after what you said. Kemo shekatu besefer charedim. As the sefer charedim, Rabbi Lazar Azikri wrote in his sefer. That's how he explained the Gemara. Aval mi she'eno chavero ve'eno mekorav etzlo. But someone who is not amitecha b'mitzvot, he's a Jew, but he doesn't keep, unfortunately, the Torah and the mitzvot. That's what it means. Eno chavero ve'eno mekorav etzlo. You're not close to him. So on him, that Gemara is not talking about mitzvah lisnoto. הנה על זה אמר הלל הזקן, הווה מתלמידיו של אהרון, אוהב שלום ורודף שלום, אוהב את הבריות ומקרבן לתורה. Over here it's the opposite. In that case, you have to be ohev shalom, ohev et haberiyot, love the people and bring them back to the Torah. Lomar, teaching us, she'af harechokim mitorat Hashem va'avodato, even those who are distant from the Torah of Hashem and His service, lachen nikra'im b'shem beriyot, therefore they only get the term beriyot, creatures, be'alma, ohev et haberiyot, tzarich lemoshchan behevle avotot ahava. We have to try to tug at them. We have to try to pull them closer to the Torah with ropes of love. And hopefully, it's possible to bring them closer to Avodat Hashem. And if not, he didn't lose. He got the mitzvah of loving another fellow Jew. וגם המקורבים אליו והוכיחם ולא שבו מעוונותיהם שמצווה לשנותם, and even those who are close to him, meaning Torah observant, and we just said mitzvah lisnotam because you gave them tochecha and he didn't change. Yes, it's true. Mitzvah lisnotam. You're right. You can show contempt. Mitzvah le'ahavam gamken. You also have a mitzvah to love them too. Ushtehen hen emet, and both are true, which means you have to have dual feelings. You're allowed to be with contempt, mazeh, even show a little bit hatred, and we'll soon explain what that means. But at the same time to love him. You hear that? How is that? Sin'a mitzad hara shebahem, ve'ahava mitzad bechinat hatov haganuz shebahem, shu nitzotz elakut shebetocham hamechaye nafsham ha'elakit. The sin'ah, the mitzvah lisnoto, is not to hate the person. It's to hate the tzad hara shebahim, the evil that's in the person, not the person himself. And the ahava, on the other hand, is because of the good that is hiding in him, which is the nitzotz elakut, the spark of godliness, that is mechaye nafsham elakit, that gives life to his nefesh elokit. And another thing in addition, v'gam le'oreh rachamim belibo aleh. So lisnoto, to hate, le'ahava, to love, and also to feel compassion. And also to bring up compassion, rachamim, in our heart. Ki bibchin aleha mean on the nefesh elakit that's in that person, that's in galut. I have rachmanut. Ki bibchinat galut betoch hara misitra acha gover aleha barshaim. Veharachmanut mevatelet hasin'a umeoreret ahava. See how he tricked us? He said, and the rachmanut, to elicit compassion, to try to have compassion. Can you hate someone that you have compassion over him? It's impossible. So the rachmanut is going to be mevatel the sin'ah that you have, and only awaken the love. Kanodam mima shekatuv liYaakov asher pada et Avraham. Avraham is chesed. Yaakov is tiferet. Yaakov is rachamim. So the Rachamim, Yaakov Padai et Avraham. The Rachamim redeems the midah of Chesed. It brings back the love. It removes the sin'ah and it brings back the Chesed. ולא אמר דוד המלך עליו השלום תכלית שנאה סנטים אלא על המינים והאפיקורסים שאין להם חלק באלוקי ישראל כדאית בגמרא. That's a whole different class. תכלית שנאה סנטים, the absolute contempt that David HaMelech spoke about is reserved to those who hardly have any chelek v'elokei Yisrael, minim and apikosim, those who don't believe, those who are against the belief of Hashem, which we don't have a right to judge who is like that. We are not on the level. David HaMelech knew who deserves that type of tachlit sin'as enetim. But today, for us to walk around and to be kovea, that guy over there, he belongs in the brackets at the end of Lamed Bet. He's the one that he's talking about, the minim v'apikosim. How do you know? How do you know his matzav? What do you know? What do you know his level? And therefore, maskana de milta, I mean, really, we continue in Perek Lamed Gimel, but what is the end here? That if a person puts less dagesh on the guf and more focus on the nefesh, you will realize, Achim kulanu, we are all brothers. Bnei av echad kulana. We all come, our nefesh comes from one source, and that's the Borei Olam. How can I not love each and every Jew, lemigadol ve'ad katan? Hashem Yizakeh.